Ah, yes! Now everything shall officially commence. Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very spectacular episode of AniMat's crazy cartoon cast, where all the thrills and chills will be amplified for this episode. Alright, but seriously though, guys, I'm not going to be doing it all like this. I mean, it is Halloween. Well, it is going to be close to Halloween as I'm recording this, so why not just start off a little bit special? So, well, let me just get these things off. Because really, I can't see Jack with that mask on. There we go. I need my glasses. But you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go into... Here, I'm going to keep the hat on because the hat is really cool, I must say. Alright, so... Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And let me tell you right now that we are going to be in for a very, very special episode because let me tell you, this week we have a whole bunch of really big animation news. Each and every single one of them might as well be deserving of a big headliner news right over here. So it really is exciting. I can't wait to get into it with you guys. So with all that said and done, let me just go and start this off by asking, while I'm pretty much setting up my hat just to make sure it's on correctly. So, are you guys ready for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me see in the chat wall if you guys are ready right now. Let's see. Alright, yes, we got some people that are prepared. Alright, do we have... Yes, okay, there we go. No, oh, one person said no. Well, too bad, because it looks like everybody seems to be ready. Alright, perfect, perfect, perfect. So, we're going to go ahead and get things started with our first story right over here, in which we are going to begin with a brand new trailer. Now, this is a trailer of a movie that we've already seen a trailer before, but this one decided to go and amplify things up, decided to bring out something a little bit more special. Something to really get people a lot more excited for this to come out. So, with all that said and done, we're going to begin our first episode by taking a look into the second trailer to the final film of How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. So, let me just take off my hat because I need to switch it with my headphones. Alright, so, we are going to begin this in 3, 2, 1, let's go!
Not a word.
Alright, and that is the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, or the second one, per se. And I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I don't know about you, but I honestly feel like... Oh, sorry. Might have knocked the webcam a little bit. But I just want to say that... I don't know about you, but I feel like with this one in particular, I feel like this is actually a much better trailer than the first one that we got. And let me go and explain why. Because with the first trailer, that one pretty much goes out and tries to explain what this movie is. Like, the big emphasis is really on the plot. Like, trying to explain to us that, oh, this is going to be about Toothless getting a girlfriend, and then you got this... Oh, excuse me. You got this evil bad guy who suddenly is coming in and tries to kidnap all the dragons for his own, for some, like, nefarious plot or something like that. They never really specify in either trailer. So, it's pretty much trying to go and explain what the plot of How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that it was a bad trailer or anything. It did get me excited to go see the movie. But the thing is that it was a good trailer, not a great trailer. It pretty much made me look at it and think, okay, I'm gonna go and check the movie out, but I'm not gonna go in and expect anything as spectacular as I saw as the last time I saw How to Train Your Dragon. So, yeah, basically, it made me feel like I'm gonna put my hopes up, but not way too high. I'm not going to expect the best of the best of this. But in the case of this right over here, the main selling point, obviously, it's really trying to emphasize what we all love about the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, which is the dragons. Like, that's the main aspect that they're really trying to advertise right over here. Of course, we do have a little bit of the same elements from the first trailer that they're trying to promote, especially with the factor of the bromance between Hiccup and Toothless, to see their relationship and how it goes to bloom, and how we see Toothless meeting up with which we can now confirm is a Light Fury. So pretty much meeting up with Toothless's new girlfriend on that element, and see how the relationship would blossom from there, on top of the relationship that we already know with Hiccup and Toothless. So there is a little bit of that it wants to try to promote, which of course is definitely the heart of the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. But on top of that, it really does also try to emphasize that this movie in particular is really going to be all about the dragons. It is going to be about them. It's their movie. It's not necessarily about Hiccup, where we mostly got the full introduction, which we do have a little bit of both in the first movie, and then in the second one, it does emphasize a little bit more on the characterization of Hiccup, and we learn a little bit more about him, on top of his mother, which, by the way, the trailer does confirm that she is going to be returning, so we do see her return, which is, hold on, there is a moment that we do see her come back. Yeah, so seeing her return in the film, that is a great, yeah, there she is, there she was, right there. You know, it's great to see Hiccup's mother actually do return in this, so that is actually very, very nice, because she was actually a great character in the second film. And also, like, played a big part into how that second movie was just absolutely freaking amazing. So yeah, like, in the second movie, it does emphasize a lot about Hiccup, but this one, it's going to be all about the dragons, because now we are going to enter into this new hidden world that's all about the dragons, and also on top of that, we also see the villain and his plan to go and take all the dragons for himself, and maybe try to go and eradicate all the dragons, trying to make them go extinct. So, from there, this is where we see the residents of Berk. They're going to team up and try to go and fight against the bad guys with their dragons that have yet to be kidnapped. So, this is basically the main thing that they're trying to advertise in this trailer in particular, is that we are going to see a lot more action with the dragons. And from there, I feel like that would actually go and make me feel a little bit more excited about How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. That's the part where I feel like, okay, this is going to be where the movie is really going to really amp up. This is where it's really going to be awesome. And seeing more dragons, and I mean, like, with the How to Train Your Dragon series with 1, 2, and what's going to be coming up. I mean, they already present some of the greatest animation that has ever been produced by DreamWorks Animation. So, of course, this is going to be a true visual spectacular, and maybe we are going to see a lot more brand new dragons that are going to be coming up. So we're going to be introduced with brand new breeds and see brand new abilities with dragons. So, hopefully, this could actually turn out great with a lot of amazing creative possibilities. And from there, I would say, after seeing this trailer, I'm immediately putting How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World as my most anticipated movie of 2019. Now, of course, this is one of the earlier ones that's going to be coming out. Just recently, they revealed that they are going to be releasing this one a little bit earlier. It's not going to be in the beginning of March, but somewhere at the end of February, I believe February 22nd to be precise, which I'm sure it actually did specify in here, which, no, okay, they didn't specify, did they specify in the, okay, not in the description, but it did say so right at the end, I do believe. Well, okay, so it says in February, but I do believe the date is on February 22nd, so at least, like, it can have some distance from the Lego Movie 2, so it won't be in direct competition for the family-friendly movie. But yeah, overall, I would say, yes, this is definitely a far better trailer. It really does emphasize about the elements that we all love from the How to Train Your Dragon franchise. It shows us a lot of the great animation that's going to be coming up, and really a great way just to go and expand the story. So yeah, definitely better than the first one, and I'm absolutely excited for this. So over here, we'll just have to wait and see with how to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World goes. Hopefully it will turn out amazing, and yeah, if you guys are excited for it, then go and check it out on February 22nd of next year. So, with all that said and done, I am going to go into the chat wall right over here, and I'm going to ask you guys, what do you all think about this new trailer of How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World? Do you think it's better than the first trailer? Do you think it's not as good? Are you guys excited to see the movie? Are you guys not? I would like to know, what do you think right over here? Okay, so, just want to... Okay, let's see. Do we have any comments? Yes, we do. I really like the first two Dragons films, so you could bet that I'm hyped up for this. The animation is as good as ever, if not better. The feels are strong with this one, and especially with what I'm going through at the moment, I do see ways I can sort of relate to Toothless. One thing's for sure, it'll hopefully end at the third, unlike another Fox animated franchise set in the distant past. Yeah, I know what you mean. And yeah, that is another good element that you do bring up that is a great highlight in this one in particular that I don't think even in the... okay, maybe they did a little bit in the first trailer, but yeah, we do get some elements of feels where we actually do have... Like, this trailer actually does begin with Stoic, which... If you're going to start with that, then of course, fans of the franchise, they're going to be immediately hit with some heavy feels right there. It's like, oh my god, he's back! Ah! And, it was like, and then, of course, like, he does talk to a little Hiccup, pretty much telling him, like, you're destined for great things, son. So, yeah, of course, like, that does... really emphasize the feels, and even though it has been confirmed this is going to be the grand finale of all of How to Train Your Dragon, yeah, you could definitely expect that there's going to be a whole lot of feels for this one. Okay, so any other comments? I think the trailer looks good, but the only thing that concerns me is TJ Miller reprised his role for this film. He has played this character in the first two movies, but I do wonder, will this hurt the movie a little bit? That is a very good question, and for me, I feel like maybe not entirely, mainly because it will all depend on TJ Miller. Now, yes, I know that with TJ Miller, he does have a lot of controversies behind him where he's kind of like viewed now as a bit of a lunatic and also as an accused sexual assaulter. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are going behind him that's pretty much, there's like a lot of crap that's behind him, but... as long as he could stay out of the green light, as long as he could stay out of, like, the news, and he doesn't do anything too crazy, like, a lot of the things that he has been accused for, a lot of the stuff that he has done so far, I don't think this would hurt this entirely. In fact, I wouldn't be too surprised if, Rough and Tough don't necessarily have that big of a role. Like, even in here, we don't really see... we don't really see them that much. Like, the human characters that are really prominent the most here are the villain. Like, we got the villain, the bad guy. We also got, like, they did mention his name, but I honestly immediately forgot. We got Hiccup's mom. We, of course, got Hiccup and Astrid, and that's pretty much it. Like, of course, there is that one moment where, like, he goes a little crazy. Just trying to make sure I could find it. Where was it? It's like, they were all ready for battle, and then, like, there was at one point, I think it was Ruff, that he was, like, freaking out. Yeah, and, like, they will be there, but... Okay, wait, yeah, I think it's gonna be coming soon. Hold on. Yeah, there it is. Like, ah! Pretty much reacting just like TJ Miller would normally do, like, when he would be in the grocery store, like... You know, like, it was like, okay, that'll be, $25.93. How will you pay it? Let's see, credit card! So yeah, that's just, so basically now they're gonna let Ruff, be TJ Miller, you know, to let him to be a little bit more like TJ Miller, just act a little bit more crazy. Okay, but yeah, honestly, with that said, I don't think, Well, as long as TJ Miller can stay out of trouble, it's not really going to hurt How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World all that much. Alright, any other comments? Will you see this movie in IMAX 3D, AniMat? Because you will probably have a blast with it. That would actually depend. Like if I do have the option to go see it in IMAX, that would actually be really awesome. I would be so down for it. But with the 3D element, I am definitely seeing that 3D is really dying down. And even in my cinema, like, they don't really offer much 3D anymore. Even, like, in their big IMAX, like, they don't do it much in 3D. So I'll pretty much go and grab what I can. If it's in 3D, if it's not, then whatever, I'll go see it either way. So, like, 3D is just, like, it doesn't bother me. Alright, so I think with all that said, we are pretty much all good with this story right over here with How to Train Your Dragon The Hidden World, and I think everybody here seems to be pretty hyped up, and definitely does seem like a movie that people are definitely going to go and watch when 2019 shall come. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into our next story. And with our next story, what's going to be happening is that, interestingly enough, this will be the closest thing that we will have to our Halloween story. This will be our official Halloween-themed animation news of the week, where in this one right over here, we actually have an old project that we thought it's pretty much long gone. We thought it was officially canceled. But lo and behold, Netflix decided to go and step in and bring this project back from the dead. So now we can all get excited all over again. And what I am talking about, yes people, it shall be Guillermo del Toro's stop-motion animated Pinocchio movie. So what basically happened is that Netflix decided to have a deal with Guillermo del Toro so that they can officially go and have him work on his passion project to create, of course, a stop-motion animated feature based on Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio. But as you guys probably know, Guillermo del Toro is not going to be working on this project alone. Yes, he will be credited as the writer, director, and producer, but also he has a lot of prominent names that are going to be working for him. In terms of the companies that will be with Guillermo del Toro, they actually do have the Jim Henson Company and also Shadow Machine, the same people that brought you BoJack Horseman, are going to be collaborating with him in order to bring this movie to life. And in terms of the people, we do have a lot of interesting names. Of course, the biggest and most prominent one you might have heard before is Chris Grimley, in which his designs for Pinocchio, they are going to be the designs that will be the ones that we will see in this animated film. In fact, you might have also seen a lot of concept art that really does take a lot of his art style and pretty much bring it to life in a way that would be more suited for a movie. So I will say, yes, this will be a little bit of a more Burton-esque looking Pinocchio film, but that's going to make things a lot more interesting and probably a lot of fun to go and watch. And of course, since it is stop motion, I think it will suit very well for the medium. But also, the other people that are involved, of course, we got Patrick McHale, the creator of Over the Garden Wall, in which he is going to be a co-writer for this movie. And also we got Mark Gustafson, the animation director of Fantastic Mr. Fox, and also a Will Vinton veteran who is going to be a co-director to help out Guillermo del Toro with making a stop-motion movie. So it's great that he would also be on board. So I'm also going to go into my source here in Deadline, where we got a quote from Guillermo del Toro talking about this whole deal with Netflix in order to bring Pinocchio to life, in which he states, which by the way, I will go and do my best Guillermo del Toro impression as I can. So it says here, no art form has influenced my life and my work more than animation, and no single character in history has had as deep of a personal connection to me as Pinocchio. In our story, Pinocchio is an innocent soul with an uncaring father who gets lost in a world he cannot comprehend. He embarks on an extraordinary journey that leaves him with a deep understanding of his father and the real world. I've wanted to make this movie for as long as I can remember. After the incredible experience we had on Troll Hunters, I am grateful that the talented team at Netflix is giving me the opportunity of a lifetime to introduce audiences everywhere to my version of this strange puppet turned real boy. So that's basically the big thing, is that finally, with Netflix, he has the golden opportunity to actually go and bring his Pinocchio project to life. And that actually is very true, because it's been for many, many years that we have heard about this animated project that Guillermo del Toro wants to do. Like, we've heard for many years, and we've seen many different concept arts of his interpretation of the Carlo Collodi Pinocchio story. And it definitely is true. Like, he wanted to do this for a very long time. He brought in a lot of people on board to work on the project, but unfortunately, he just couldn't find the right people in order to give him the money to actually go and do so. And that was the most complicated thing for Guillermo del Toro, is actually the fact that he had to find the necessity to actually bring the project to life. He needed to find the right funds, the right distributors, the right people that are willing to go and release Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. And that is honestly no easy task right there. And even at that, there are a couple of reasons as to why Guillermo del Toro had such a hard time in order to find the right distributors, in order to find the right people to give him the money in order to create a stop-motion Pinocchio movie. And first and foremost, and this is going to be a little bit of a controversial reason, part of it is actually because this isn't just any regular adaptation of Pinocchio. Like, Guillermo del Toro doesn't want to go and be straightforward with this adaptation. In fact, what Guillermo del Toro wants to do is actually a more political adaptation of Pinocchio, because this is actually going to be set during the 1930s, during the time of Mussolini and the rise of fascism that would ultimately lead to World War II. In fact, this actually did. This is actually said here in my source in Deadline, where it says, production will begin this fall on a version of the classic story that is less romanticized than a 1940 Disney animated classic. Del Toro's film will be a musical set in Italy during the turbulent 1930s. This collision of innocence in a political environment of repression and growing fascism is reminiscent to the construct of his Oscar-winning Pan's Labyrinth, a spectacular fable in the backdrop of Francois Spain in 1944. So this is something that obviously Guillermo del Toro has already done before. So, in a way, you could say that this is going to be Pinocchio with a bit of a Pan's Labyrinth twist, which definitely sounds appealing right there. But you could understand that, especially during this time, when the subject of politics definitely does divide a lot of people, like, it really is a bit of a touchy subject matter. It's not impossible to do, and it's not necessarily something that would steer away people from actually making a movie or whatever, but this definitely is a subject matter that is a lot risky. And that's the big thing that really does turn off a lot of these producers, is the fact that it is a very risky project to go and create. It can either work extremely well, but there is also the risk of making it go into controversy so easily, and it could spurt out massive outrage in the levels of Sony's 2016 Ghostbusters reboot. And with this right over here, I wouldn't necessarily mind that Guillermo del Toro would go and create something that would have a bit of a political commentary, because you got to keep in mind, there have been animated films, even nowadays, that we are seeing that does have a bit of a political commentary. So there is definitely a possibility that with this one right over here, that what Guillermo del Toro wants to try to explain with this adaptation of Pinocchio is more to show the dangers of fascism. So in a way, yes, this is going to be an anti-fascist Pinocchio movie. Yes, Pinocchio is going to go Antifa with Guillermo del Toro. And I mean, rightfully so, because the thing is, when it comes to nationalism, it's basically nothing more but a synonym of terrorism. Like, all nationalists should be viewed as terrorists, and each and every single one of them should be arrested. They should all go behind bars, and pretty much nationalism in itself should be viewed as another form of Nazism, where any form of expression should be illegal. And this week is actually the biggest example of all that, considering that we have seen this crazy Trump supporter who's been sending bombs to every single person who would criticize Donald Trump in the hopes of actually killing them. So that's the thing. That's why we need to make nationalism illegal. That's why we should take these prominent nationalists and send them to jail. They should all be viewed just like that crazy Trump-supporting bomber. They're all terrorists. And if this is the message that Guillermo del Toro wants to present, then I'm rooting for him. Also, I'm all forward with that right there. Now, maybe that's not going to necessarily be the case, but you do get what I mean. That the subject of going into politics on that level to say that fascism is bad, that right-wing terrorism is terrible, and that, like Nazis, basically to say that Nazis are bad, it is a bit of a touchy subject, especially nowadays. But I'm going to say that wouldn't be necessarily the main reason as to why people would be a little bit iffy about funding a project like this. Because the thing is, even nowadays, we are seeing mainstream animated features that would have a social commentary that would be viewed as anti-Trump. In fact, like, a month ago, we literally just had an animated film that tells people literally to stay woke, to know about the truth, and to know the world around you instead of being secluded in your own little personal bubble. Like, movies like Smallfoot and Zootopia can actually be viewed as anti-Trump movies where their social commentary goes completely against Trump's political practices, and they go against Trump's values and the values of, like, far-right conservatives that are insane enough to think that Donald Trump is a legitimate good president, So that's the big thing with those. And, if they would make an animated film like that, they would have no problem. But the real reason that I believe as to why this movie had such a hard time to go and promote and to actually come to life is actually the factor that it is stop motion. Because let's face reality, folks, stop motion doesn't necessarily make a lot of money nowadays. In fact, when you do look at many of the recent stop motion animated films, they're mostly flops, unfortunately. Even if they would be some of the most critically praised animated features of the decade, they still would be losing money. They still wouldn't go and make much. In fact, like, you look at this year with Early Man and Isle of Dogs, I don't think they even broke $100 million at the box office. Or one of the best examples would be Kubo and the Two Strings. A lot of people will tell you that it's one of the best animated films of 2016, or even one of the best animated films of the decade. It really is that good. But unfortunately, it didn't make much money at the box office. But despite having such legendary word of mouth, unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And Laika actually did lose money because of that. Now, good thing that Laika didn't shut down because of it, but still, it really does emphasize the factor that stop motion just doesn't make money. And that's the big reason as to why we see many of these companies are not necessarily that keen to go and fund a project like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, despite the fact that we have such an acclaimed director that is on board, and of course it's based on a story that everybody knows, most likely through Disney with the 1940 film. But still, despite everything, the idea of making a stop-motion film is not necessarily a great money-making idea, and that's why Guillermo del Toro had such a hard time trying to find funds for it, and why, like several months ago, we heard that the project was pretty much dead, that Guillermo del Toro decided to just give up on it, until Netflix decided to come in, as you can see, and just say, hey, how about we'll fund the project for you? Because it definitely is true that Netflix, they really are open when it comes to stop-motion films. Like, they would actually go and fund their own stop motion films for themselves. And there are several examples that this article right here actually emphasize that there are 2 stop motion films that are going to be coming up on Netflix. One of which is Bubbles, which is going to be directed by Taika Waititi, which you may remember from Thor's Ragnarok. That's going to be about Michael Jackson's pet chimpanzee. And then we also got Wendell and Wild, which is going to be reuniting Jordan Peele with Keegan-Michael Key. So we do have those. So obviously, Netflix is willing to go and take the risk. And especially, they already have great relations with Guillermo del Toro, especially with the DreamWorks projects. Like, of course, we have seen many of their amazing animated series, especially with the Tales of Arcadia series, with Troll Hunters, and then coming soon later this year, we're going to have Three Below, and then next year, we're going to have the grand finale of all the Tales of Arcadia franchise with Wizards. So we are going to go and have all that. But the big thing to go and emphasize is that with that deal, they already have great relations with Guillermo del Toro, and thus gives them a golden opportunity for him to go and create his passion project. And honestly, for me personally, I definitely am excited to go and check this out, mainly because I am actually a huge Guillermo del Toro fan. Like, I really do love his movies. I love Pan's Labyrinth. I love Shape of Water, and I'm really happy that he did win the Oscar for Best Director, and the fact that it won Best Picture, that is actually really amazing right over there. All that, and also I do love the Hellboy movies, and yes, I'm definitely a big fan of the Troll Hunter series. And, the fact that we have him on board coming in to make an animated feature, I find that to be absolutely amazing, because it's almost mythological that we would hear about a director that would win tons of Oscars, and that he would also make a movie that would ultimately end up winning Best Picture, so that he would go from there, and then suddenly he would make an animated film. It's almost unheard of. The last time that I've heard any of that actually happen would be with Steven Spielberg, where, like, it's been a long time since, like, he would actually win the Oscar for Best Picture, but then after, he would actually go and make The Adventures of Tintin. And this is a little bit of the same thing that we see right over here. So honestly, overall, especially with the people that they got involved, like with Patrick McHale helping out, with Mark Gustafson helping out, I think this is going to go and turn out to be quite an amazing movie. This could actually turn out great, so I definitely am hyped up for it. I definitely do trust a lot of the people that are behind it, so let's just see how it goes, and yeah, hopefully we will see this movie come out soon, especially the fact that it mentioned that the production, it says that it will begin this fall, but technically we are in this fall, so they could start working on that very, very soon. So let's just see how it goes, and I do wish the team the best of luck in creating Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and now I would like to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the idea of bringing back Guillermo del Toro's old project and finally bringing it to life onto Netflix? Are you guys excited for this animated Pinocchio film? Are you a little iffy about it? I want to know, what do you think? So go ahead and comment your thoughts right over here. So let me see, what do we got now? All right, let's see. Del Toro seems to have a lot on his plate between this, Tales of Arcadia, and Death Stranding. And Death Stranding. But I'm happy to see him getting more opportunities since his Oscar wins. That is definitely true. You do have a point, considering that with Guillermo del Toro, of course, like, he is a very prominent name right now and one of the hottest directors in Hollywood. So, of course, he is going to be quite busy, and he does have a lot of projects, which is why we also see a lot of projects that do end up getting canceled, even though people are really excited about. So, yeah, like, even though he is going to be very busy right now, hopefully he will have a lot of time for this. And I'm sure with this one, considering this is a project that he wanted to do for a very, very long time, I'm sure he would make this one in particular a top priority. So don't be surprised if we do end up hearing about this soon, and maybe that maybe we'll see this get a release very soon, like maybe a 2020 release date. At the earliest, I'm expecting. Like, I would be shocked if suddenly next year the movie will be released, but I'm expecting at the most maybe it'll come out sometime in 2020. Alright, do we have any other comments? Let's see. Alright. This film could be great, but by the time this film comes out, will you be able to review the film from Netflix? You never review any animated movies on Netflix at all unless you don't have an account. Oh, okay, well, I guess it's asking, am I going to review it? Well, I guess, like... Well, from there, like, never say never. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, like, streaming services are still a new thing, so I don't know. Like, for now, just don't ask the question just yet. Let me just try to go and figure things out about what to do with Netflix. So yeah, just give me some time on that. All right, let's see. I remember back in the days I adored the Pinocchio tale, so combining that with the magic of Guillermo del Toro, I think the film buff side of me is having a heart attack. Oh crap! Someone revive him! Don't have a heart attack, please! Seriously, you won't be able to see this version of Pinocchio! Oh boy! No, but I do get what you mean. Yeah, this definitely does sound exciting. It does sound like a bit of a dream project that you would see, like, fans would try to go and make this dream collab of what to do to make an amazing movie. So having this come out as what we hear, it's gonna sound amazing. So let's see. It looks interesting, and I like that it will be set in the 30s. Let's hope it will succeed. I love stop motion. I don't know who he is, though, but hopefully he will make a good movie. Netflix is making a good decision. Oh boy, if you don't know Guillermo del Toro, you gotta go and check out some of his movies, because Del Toro, let me tell ya, he is legit. This is a real legit filmmaker. So yeah, you definitely gotta go and check out some of his movies. Like, go check out Shape of Water. Go check out Pan's Labyrinth. Go check out those movies. Trust me, they really are that worth it. Okay, so do we have any more? All right. Yeah, I think we're pretty much good with the chat wall right over here. I think we're pretty much good with this story. So yeah, it definitely does make me pretty excited for this. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into our next story right now, in which, honestly, I was just surfing around to see what other movie news is going to happen, and then suddenly there's this one that just came right out of the blue, and I was just there like, oh, well then, wasn't expecting that to happen, so, yeah. Apparently, Pixar is going to be changing a lot more in the future than we thought. Or at least, maybe in terms of the leadership. Yes, it is official. Ed Catmull, the co-founder of Pixar, has officially announced that he is going to retire. So, he has revealed that he is going to be ending his work as the president of both Pixar Animation Studios and Walt Disney Animation Studios by the end of this year, and he stated that he will be remaining in the advisory board all the way until July of 2019. Now, once again, I will be in my source here in Deadline, where we do have several quotes from people who would like to have a few words about Ed Catmull's accomplishments and his work at the Walt Disney Company. Where, first of all, we got Bob Iger, the big man himself, the CEO of Disney, has stated... Ed Catmull's impact on the entertainment industry is immeasurable. A pioneer of the intersection of creativity and technology, Ed expanded the possibilities for storytelling along with the expectations of audiences. We also got a word from the chair of the Visual Effects Society, Mike Chambers, where he said, "We want to offer our deep appreciation for Ed Catmull's transformative impact on the art and business of animation and visual effects. A VES Fellow and recipient of our George Méliès Award, Ed exemplifies what can be achieved through remarkable vision and dedication. Across more than 4 decades in the film industry, he made significant and lasting contributions to our industry through invention and pioneering work." And from there, we also have, do we have any other words? Oh, yes, the president of Walt Disney Studios, Alan Horn. He also brought out a few words. Ooh, excuse me. Well, my stomach also had a few words there as well. But first of all, Alan Horn takes priority here. So he has stated, Ed is a one-of-a-kind talent. A genius who sees beyond the ordinary to the Okay, Ed is one-of-a-kind talent, a genius who sees beyond the ordinary to the extraordinary. His unique perspective and invaluable leadership has fostered the creation of films and technologies that will stand the test of times. And I do believe we will have one more little quote here, and I do believe this is going to be coming from Ed Catmull himself. Of course, he has a few things to say about what he has done as well. So, it says here, from the request of George Lucas to bringing technology to the film industry, to the vision of Steve Jobs, and the extraordinary freedom provided by Bob Iger, Alan Horn, and Alan Bergman, we continue to dream of stories and ways of making those stories that always surprise. I have the mixed emotions that come with stepping away from a group of people I love, but also with the utmost pride and pleasure that we now have at both Pixar and Disney Animation, the most dedicated and imaginative leaders I have worked with. Now, in terms of his work, some of you, of course, might be wondering, who's going to be stepping in for Ed Catmull? Who is going to be replacing him? Well, there isn't necessarily going to be a replacement because technically Ed Catmull was not alone when it comes to being president of both these animation studios. It states right over here, following Catmull's retirement, Pixar president Jim Morris and Walt Disney Animation Studios president Andrew Milstein will continue to oversee operations of their respective studios, reporting to Walt Disney Studios president Alan Bergman. So basically what's going to be going on is that Morris and Milstein, they're going to be keeping their roles as president, but now they got bigger shoes to fill because now they have to go and take part in also what would be Ed Catmull's job as well. So now they're going to be fully in charge as the presidents of their respective studios. So that's pretty much the big thing. Now, of course, right over here, in case you guys don't necessarily know who Catmull is, yes, Ed Catmull is the guy who pretty much founded Pixar. He collaborated with Steve Jobs and John Lasseter in order to go and create the studio. But the big thing to note about Ed Catmull, yes, he is actually one of the legendary pioneers of computer animation, where he was one of the first people to actually go and create a rendering organic shape using just computer animation, where for those of you who have probably seen Pixar documentaries, specifically one in particular, the Pixar Story, then you might remember Ed Catmull is the man that during the 70s, he actually created this little computer animated video where we see him creating this computer animated hand, and it's just like we see the hand that is rotating and we see the hand that's just like slowly opening and closing. So that's pretty much the big thing, and one of his first major contributions in stop motion animation, and one of the most important pieces of animation that would ultimately lead us to how computer animation looks today. That's pretty much the big thing that Ed Catmull has done, and since then, his career is not necessarily to go and make Pixar really big or to make Disney really big, but his job is pretty much to go and take computer animation and really bring it to the next level every single time. This is a man who looks back at his old stuff and would say, what can we do to do better than what we have already done? What can we go in order to take the next step? Because this is a man who thinks about, this is a man who thinks about going higher and higher. This is the man who really wants to take animation to the next level, even when it seems like he has done something far better than what anyone else could ever possibly do. That's the big thing with Ed Catmull. He really is a pioneer and a man that truly does believe in the technology of computer animation and how far it can go in terms of storytelling, in terms of crafting not just like cartoons, not just little stories, but also with feature-length films. How to take computer animation and use it as a promising and prominent storytelling medium like we do see right now. Now, that is the big thing with Ed Catmull, and honestly, it really is kind of surprising the fact that he did reveal that he is going to retire. Because, of course, as you guys probably know, at the end of this year, that's going to be the time when also, with John Lasseter, he will be cutting all ties from Disney. Like, the entity of John Lasseter will be completely gone from Disney, and it looks like with Ed Catmull, it will be a little bit the same as well. Now, his distance will take a little bit more time, but it wouldn't be until June of 2019 when he's going to be officially out, and he's just going to be enjoying his own retirement. And that's probably the shocking thing for many people regarding this, is that the future of Disney is going to be a lot more different, where now, starting with 2019, we are going to be, well, maybe not necessarily 2019, but when the 2020 decade comes specifically, that's going to be the time when we are going to be entering a brand new age of Disney animation, of Disney and Pixar animation, because that's going to be the moment where Disney is going to be going fully forward without their leaders, with John Lasseter and Ed Catmull taking the helm. And I mean, say what you will about those guys, but they really did take Disney and Pixar to the next level, where they really do stand as the legitimate kings of animation, that it truly does feel like a major event when a Disney movie or a Pixar movie would go and get released. Probably the biggest thing that they have done is really take Disney animation was when they were like in one of their worst shapes, and really put them back onto the top, where we are seeing this brand new revival with movies like Tangled, with Frozen, with Moana, with Wreck-It Ralph, with Zootopia, and all those films. So this really is a really big change. So now it's going to be left in the hands of a few more people. You know, this is now going to be left in the hands of the leadership of Jim Morris, of Andrew Milstein, and of course with John Lasseter's replacements with Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter. But there is also another thing that I do want to go and emphasize, that technically with Ed Catmull, he's not necessarily perfect himself. He's not all clean, and of course, he did have a little bit of some controversies himself. Not as bad as the levels of John Lasseter, but if you guys may remember back in 2014 and 2015, there was that major controversy where apparently there were several animation studios that would all work together in order to kind of illegally cut down the wages of animators and visual effects artists. And Ed Catmull is actually one of the people that would be leading the whole pack. He would be like the whole godfather of the whole situation. And this would be like a big collaboration between people like Pixar, with Disney, with DreamWorks, with Sony, and with Blue Sky, and maybe a few others as well. But the good news is that at least the whole thing has pretty much gone and be settled. So at least that's all good on that front. But again, this is not necessarily going to be a controversy that's going to hinder the reputation of Ed Catmull. Like, at least now when Ed Catmull is going to be leaving Disney, he's not going to be entirely disgraced like John Lasseter, because I know that there are going to be a lot of people that will still see Ed Catmull as the prominent animation pioneer that is massively responsible for making animation into what it is today, into one of the most successful movie-making mediums of the business. And with that, I will say, congratulations, Ed Catmull, on such a prominent career, and I do hope that you enjoy the rest of your retirement, because honestly, dude, with what you have done, you have certainly earned it. And I do wish the best of luck for both Disney and Pixar, because when 2019 will come, that's when things are definitely going to be changing, and hopefully the new leaders will go and still make things strong for both Disney and Pixar, so that they can be in the best shape that they can ever be and hopefully still triumphant over any other animation studio, that they'll still be on top over companies like Illumination, DreamWorks, Sony, Blue Sky, and whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire news with Ed Catmull's retirement. So, with all that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask, what do you guys think about the announcement of Ed Catmull's retirement? Is this something that is a little bit shocking to you guys? Did you not expect this to go and happen? Are you guys relieved about the fact that he is retiring? Are you excited for the new people that are going to be coming up? I would like to know, what do you guys think? Let's see. The Toy Story picture behind Ed Catmull is basically a sign of John Lasseter saying, "Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry, buddy. We will never forget you." I also wouldn't be surprised if that Toy Story picture is a scene in the 4th movie. Oh yeah, it is true that Toy Story 4 is going to be the next one, and probably the final feature that will have that legitimate big touch from Ed Catmull and John Lasseter, so that could be a possibility. Alright, let's see. Ed Catmull was one of those who brought Pixar to life and gave the studio its name, and it's sad to see such a legend go. He may have done some questionable things in the past, but I respect this decision and wish him the best of luck. That's very good of you, dude. Alright, let's see. Worried about it, who would be in charge of Pixar and Disney? Sorry. I was talking and I was burping right at the same time. Not necessarily a good combo. Who will be in charge of Pixar and Disney Animation right now? It needs someone smart with story, not now that John Lasseter is out. I've already mentioned who's going to be in it. Jim Morris and Andrew Milstein will be the presidents, and Jennifer Lee and Pete Docter are going to be in charge. You need to pay a little bit more attention to the news stories. Don't worry. Hopefully Disney is going to be in good hands. Alright. Let's see. What will happen to the 5 untitled upcoming films in the next decade with the absence of Ed? They could still be going, honestly. Nothing is going to necessarily change. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, because, those animated films, they're way ahead in the future, so maybe some of them will be canceled, maybe some of them will still be going forward as normal, so, honestly, it's pretty much a little too far to tell, so all we can do is just have a bit of a wait-and-see attitude. Oh, and actually, that does remind me a little bit. One thing that I will say, considering that it is Jim Morris and Andrew Milstein, that they are going to be the bigger presidents for Disney and Pixar, I'm not necessarily expecting that much of a change, because the thing is that with Ed Catmull, is that's the biggest thing that they're pretty much losing so far, is just Ed Catmull is stepping out. The leadership technically is still going to remain intact, because in here, it's just going to be Jim Morris and Andrew Milstein that they're still going to be in charge. Kind of like what they have done with Ed Catmull. So maybe there will be a change, but maybe not necessarily that big of a change. So I thought I would go and emphasize right over there. Let's see. Ed did say some questionable things, like saying the 2011 Winnie the Pooh movie bombed because little kids like seeing hand-drawn, while other people watch CGI films. I know, that could be a bit of a controversial statement, but then again, we all know why Winnie the Pooh bombed. I mean, technically, he's not necessarily wrong, because a lot more people prefer checking out the final Harry Potter film than checking out a freaking Winnie the Pooh movie. I'm just saying. I mean, consider Christopher Robin lucky that it wasn't released with the second... I was about to say Final Fantasy. With the second Fantastic Beast movie. So, yeah, there is that right over there. Okay. So, I think with that, we're pretty much all good with this little story right over here. Well, maybe not necessarily little, because this is a big retirement news. And what a coincidence. I got two retirement stories in a row, one episode after another. First of all, we got Carol Spinney that I talked with Morgan about, and now we got freaking Ed Catmull retiring. That's pretty strange and pretty big right there. But anyways, let's go ahead into our next story right over here. Now, funny enough, I see some people saying that, oh, I'm going to be talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot. Actually, no. I was about to. I was ready to. But the thing is that a lot of people have already stated what my thoughts basically are. So my thoughts are pretty much similar to what many people have said, that it does seem pretty intriguing that they are going to do a Pirates reboot without Jack Sparrow. No, but what I'm going to be talking about instead is actually a recent news that just came out not too long ago. It was a bit of a last minute change, but I think this is going to be very fascinating to talk about. But alright, just want to say, guys, a little bit of a warning. Make sure to keep your cool, because some people might be a little bit frustrated. Now, before I get things started with this, you might remember this little video called How to Fix Apu Once and For All, where you got this guy here who is actually producer Adi Shankar, which, I kid you not, he looks a bit like a freaking Yu-Gi-Oh character. Like, here, let me just show you this picture, like, just this little screenshot right over here. He looks like he's something straight out of godforsaken Yu-Gi-Oh, where he's confronting Apu, like, oh yeah? Well, I'm gonna go and activate Monster Reborn, and I will summon Lionel Hutz to go and sue you. Oh yeah? Well, I will go and activate Fiendish Chain, so Lionel Hutz shall do nothing on me. Nah, but seriously, maybe some of you have probably seen this little video right over here called How to Fix Apu Once and For All. But basically, the big point of this video that Adi Shankar made is the fact that he wanted to go and try to do this little contest to go and make things right, per se, for Apu, where he wanted to go and try to make sure Apu is no longer viewed as a stereotype like the big controversy that we have seen last year. Here's a little clip of his contest about what he is talking about.
I'm gonna post a link right here that goes to a submission page for an Apu screenplay competition. A panel of judges will be selecting the very best script that we receive, which will then be delivered to Fox. In the end, Bootleg Universe will adapt the script as entry number 7 in the Bootleg One-Shot series. And we can all move on with our regular Simpsons-loving but slightly less racist lives.
Thank you.
Don't you dare.
So yeah, that's basically the big thing. He wanted to do a whole contest about it. And he was actually pretty much ready for it, interestingly enough. He actually did get a winning script for what would be a good Apu script, where it could change the character, where he would be viewed as a lot more than just a South Asian stereotype. But you know what's very fascinating is that there is also one little part here that Fox did listen to, and he actually stated here,
Portrayal of Indians in America. And if it can't be done, well, I guess we're gonna have to write you out of the show entirely, Apu.
Please don't do that last thing. I would like to continue to exist, please.
sorry Apu, but it seems like that's exactly what Fox is going to do. Yes, it is true, folks. Apu is gonna be removed from The Simpsons. Right at the moment when producer Adi Shankar actually got his script and sent it to The Simpsons, unfortunately, word got back to him that ultimately what they are going to do is pretty much remove Apu in its entirety. Pretty much gonna go and take a statement here from Adi Shankar from my source in IndieWire, as it states, oh boy, finally I can have a properly placed burp. So it says right over here, I got some disheartening news back that I verified from multiple sources now. They are going to drop the Apu character altogether, says Shankar in an interview with IndieWire. They aren't going to make a big deal out of it or anything like that, but they'll drop him altogether just to avoid controversy. And it even states that the people that he got as his source are actually two people who do work on The Simpsons, and one of which is actually in direct contact with the creator, Matt Groening. Now, of course, like he said right over here, the reason why they are pretty much going to go and drop Apu altogether is mainly because, well, in the future, you won't have any more Apu controversies if there isn't an Apu in the first place. As he states here, If you are a show about cultural commentary and you are too afraid to comment on the culture, especially when it's a component of the culture you had a hand in creating, then you are a show about cowardice. It's not a step forward or a step backwards. It's just a massive step sideways. After having read all the wonderful scripts, I feel like sidestepping this issue doesn't solve it when the whole purpose of art, I would argue, is to bring us together. So that's pretty much the whole thing. And the rest of this IndieWire article would go on about the contest and how they got this one script. They even discuss about the winning script, which was actually done by this gentleman right over here by the name of Vishal Bush. Or Butch, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not necessarily known for pronouncing names correctly. You guys probably know that. Alright. Get it, anyone? Alright, anyways, let's go in right over here. It says right over here that the plot, apparently, of Vishal's script, it says that in Bush's script, Apu goes from a single store owner to a thriving businessman in Springfield. The spec episode doesn't just focus on Apu, but pulls in other prominent Indian Americans in hilarious ways to highlight the importance of diversity and individuality. For God's sakes, why is my Porky Pig mode turned on? Individuality through the lens of The Simpsons. So they were basically prepared to go and create that, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to be the case, and ultimately they just decided to just go and completely remove the Apu subject, just remove Apu altogether. So that's pretty much the big highlight of this movie news story, is that apparently Apu is going to be out of the show, but interestingly enough, he's not going to get the same treatment as either Maud Flanders or Krusty's dad, where they're going to make a big deal about getting rid of Apu. They're just going to, like, slowly but surely, like, slide him out of the series and make sure that nobody would go and, just go and notice. But honestly, it's very interesting about this, especially the fact that it's almost coincidental, because I know that, I am very aware that Hot Diggity Demon, he actually did release this video essay that's like 45 minutes long, but it is very fascinating, talking about the subject of Apu, and then, coincidentally enough, look at what just happened. Well, I mean, like, it is a very interesting subject, and honestly, in terms of my opinion about all this, I feel like none of it has really changed, because for me, I do understand both sides of the argument when it comes to the subject of Apu. Like, I do get how some people can view him as an offensive stereotype, that for many Southern Asians, they would look at him as kind of like a negative influence, where a lot of people do get the wrong idea of how Indians would be portrayed, and it would actually go and affect their lives in a bit of a negative manner, where like they would be poked, where Apu would actually be the subject to use to go and poke fun onto some Indian people, and that's not necessarily fun, nor is it necessarily a good thing. That, and also the way The Simpsons handled the controversy, it makes them look a little bit hypocritical, especially the ways that, sure, they would go and make fun about many other different cultures, but they wouldn't go and make fun about their own little mistakes or admit that they have done mistakes. Like, they're not afraid to go and call out other cultures whenever they're doing something wrong, but when they are the ones that are doing something wrong, they would literally have Lisa just go on the side and just say, well, what can you do? I mean, it's PC culture, am I right, I can't do anything at all. I don't understand jack all about PC culture. Yeah, we ain't doing anything wrong about that. Others are doing it, but not us, all that kind of stuff. But, on the other hand, I do understand the other side as well, where people would go and argue that Apu is not a stereotype, especially with the way that the show would go and portray him. And I do understand, especially when there was a time when I would used to always watch a lot of Simpsons episodes, both past and present, where with Apu, he is definitely one of the more intellectual residents of The Simpsons, where they do portray him as someone a little bit more than just a bit of an Indian stereotype, where they do give the character a lot more layers and a lot more intellectuality, where even he understands America and its issues a lot more than many of the actual Americans in Springfield. So they do use Apu in many different clever ways. And on top of that, well, of course, we are talking about The Simpsons, so the big question is, who the fridge is not a stereotype in the world of The Simpsons? Like, they have pretty much made a stereotype about literally everyone, down to the point where it kind of nullifies where you can't necessarily be offended when literally everyone is kind of getting the same treatment as Apu. So, yeah, it is strange that Apu specifically is kind of being a target in all this, when everyone else could actually be a target, like Groundskeeper Willie, or the crazy cat lady, or even like Hans Moleman could actually be the same kind of target into what we are dealing with right over here. So I do understand both sides of the argument, but when it comes to me personally, into where I would fall, I feel like, well, honestly, I don't necessarily give a crap, and I don't necessarily give a crap that they're gonna do something with Apu, and I don't care if they're even gonna get rid of him altogether, because the thing is, we're talking about The Simpsons in its current format. We're not talking about The Simpsons of the past, we are talking about The Simpsons right now. And let's be honest, many people would agree, the show isn't as great as it used to be. It passed its prime, like, literally decades ago, and I think this is really, like, the fact that this controversy exists, it really is a bit of a statement to say that, yeah, the show has gone far too long than it probably should, and maybe it could be for the best that we could just cancel the show altogether, just so we can have a time that we could just look back and just let The Simpsons be just a memory, so that we can look back at all the great things The Simpsons has done, instead of when the subject would be brought up and people would just be groaning on how, like, it has jumped the shark so many times that even the shark itself is starting to get tired of it. Like, dude, come on, don't you have a life? Like, what the fridge? You know, like, stuff like that. It's just a bit ridiculous. You know, like, seriously, like, no joke. Like, very soon, The Simpsons is gonna be turning 30. So, can't you just round that out and just stop The Simpsons at 30? Can we just, like, move on from it? And honestly, with the idea that they are going to get rid of Apu, it only applies to the present and future episodes of The Simpsons. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get rid of Apu in the past, because we're still gonna get all those great Apu moments. I'm not expecting Fox to knock on my door and get rid of all my Simpsons DVDs just to replace them with ones that won't have anything to do with Apu at all. We're still gonna have many great and memorable Apu moments. If you want to see Apu go and have a song and dance number, then you can pop in a DVD and you can have fun with Who Needs the Quickie Mart? Who Needs the Quickie Mart? You know, like, all that kind of stuff. So, really, I know I'm still gonna have Apu, and I can go onto YouTube and just go and check out, well, I mean, we are seeing, like, the best of Apu, so, like, we can have those fond memories over there. As someone who used to be a big Simpsons fan, I've had many great memories with Apu. So, maybe, I don't necessarily care the fact that they're gonna get rid of him right now, because it only applies to the current show right now. And in terms of how other people express their opinions and stuff like that, for me, the amount that I should care about what you think about this controversy, it should be equal to how much you care about The Simpsons right now. That if you are still a big Simpsons fan, and you still go and watch The Simpsons like every Sunday on Fox, at that point, then I will go and listen to you. But if you're someone who doesn't necessarily care about The Simpsons right now, if you don't care about the show today, then honestly, I really don't give a crap what you think, and your opinion really doesn't matter to me. Because the thing is, you can't just immediately go from, oh, I don't watch The Simpsons right now, the show sucks, I mean, they're really past their prime, and then suddenly this happened, and then they'll immediately go, how dare they get rid of Apu? Apu is perfect, how dare you do this to us? You can't do that just immediately, because, I mean, at that point, you're just looking for something to go and complain about. if you don't care about The Simpsons right now, then why the fridge should I care about what you think about the Apu controversy? Seriously, it's a little bit ridiculous. And from there, I think that's pretty much my thoughts in the nutshell about this whole Apu controversy and what's going on right now. Like, do they want to get rid of Apu? Alright, fine. I don't necessarily care because I don't watch The Simpsons. I don't watch the new episodes of The Simpsons, so this doesn't necessarily bother me. And I know I'll have great memories of Apu with many of his moments in past Simpsons episodes, so honestly, this doesn't bother me at all. Whatever, just do whatever you want with Apu. Keep him in, make him less of a stereotype, kill him off, whatever. It doesn't bother me all that much. So, with all that said and done, I would like to know, what do you guys think about this whole controversy right over here? And what do you guys think about the fact that The Simpsons are getting rid of Apu? Are you guys upset about it? Are you guys relieved about it? What do you guys think about this whole thing in general? Alright, so, let's see. Alright, we got one big comment. I wonder if they're either bluffing about this or they're going to do the Brian Griffin effect with Apu, where they kill or make that character disappear for a few episodes, but later bring him back for the rest of the show. After all, this guy wasn't this hated during his first appearance. In fact, he was kind of liked and beloved by fans. He was even playable in Hit and Run and Road Rage. Heck, he is still more likable than Brian Griffin today. Well, I mean, first of all, I need to ask you a serious question. Who is not more likable than Brian? No, but seriously though, I do get a little bit what you mean, and that could highly be possible, but then again, maybe they won't altogether, because you gotta keep in mind, we're not talking about one of the main characters. With Brian, he is one of the main family members of the Griffins in Family Guy, so it's not necessarily that surprising that he would go and that he would suddenly come back in the show as if nothing happened. Apu, he's one of the small side characters. He's just like the convenience store owner. He's not one of the main Simpsons characters. It's not like they're getting rid of Lisa or Bart or Homer. It's not of that magnitude. It's just getting rid of a small side character, and that's pretty much it, It's like if in Steven Universe, for example, they would get rid of I don't know who I haven't seen Steven Universe, so this is already a bad example. So I was like, which small insignificant character is there? Actually, you know what? Someone brought up My Little Pony. Actually, that's a good idea. So this is like if in My Little Pony they ultimately decided to get rid of I forgot his name, like Max or something. The one that goes, yup. Imagine, if they get rid of that guy, it's not going to affect the show all that much, so that's the same thing with Apu right over here. Speaking of which, the person who made the comment about MLP, this reminds me of the controversy with Derpy Hooves in MLP, where she was removed because some people thought that she was offensive to disabled people, but she had so many fans that she was brought back. This could happen to Apu as well. So yeah, I see that a lot of people do think that maybe there is a chance that they will bring back Apu. And I mean, with a show like The Simpsons, I mean, if it's going to be still going for a few more years, then there could be a chance that they'll magically bring back Apu and maybe change the character in some ways. Maybe this is a big break for Apu until he can come back fresh, and he can come back as someone who is a lot less of a stereotype, trying to make sure they can fix that issue. So that could be a possibility right there, but I don't know. Either, like I said, either way that's going to happen, I'm not going to necessarily care. I'm not going to be there to see that moment in particular, so what can you do, really? Oh man, and that's kind of an irony right there. Okay, so I think from there we're pretty much all good with the story of Apu. So I think with all that said, we can all move on with the whole case of Apu, and it's time that we shall get into the grand finale. And this time, this could probably be the most interactive grand finale that I have for you today, because we are going to play a little bit of a special game right now that I was expecting that we're not going to have until a few more weeks, but it looks like we're going to do it right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. It's time to go and play the annual fun game of guess which animated feature will be nominated at the next Oscars. Yes, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science has officially revealed the list of 25 animated features that are going to be up in competition to go and get a nomination for Best Animated Feature at the 91st Academy Awards. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the list itself, and might as well go and present this in a similar fashion to the Oscars, where we are going to go and list them down, so, you know, in a more spectacular way. So, let's go ahead and get things started, ladies and gentlemen. And so, the contending animated features that will be in competition to get a nomination at the 91st Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature are, yes, they are Anna y Bruno, Dr. Seuss's The Grinch, Early Man, Fireworks, Have a Nice Day, Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation, Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, The Laws of the Universe Part 1, Liz and the Bluebird, Lou Over the Wall, MFKZ, Makia, When the Promised Flower Blooms, Mirai, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, On Happiness Road, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Reuben Brandt, Collector, Sergeant Stubby, An American Hero, Sherlock Gnomes, Smallfoot, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Tall Tales, Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and Tito and the Birds. So these are our 25 animated features that are up for competition, and it has stated, according to Academy rules, that it requires 16 or more to be submitted in order to have 5 nominations. So it is a guarantee that we are going to have 5 animated features that are going to be nominated at the 91st Oscars. So I decided to go and I took this list right over here. So I put them all in this little Word document, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and share a little bit of my thoughts with you guys. We're going to go and try to make a little bit of a prediction game. So we are going to go and try to predict which ones are going to be nominated. And before I go and get things started on that, I just would like to go and clarify that all this is nothing more but speculation, predictions, and theories. This is only going to be based a little bit on my personal opinion on each of these movies, but more specifically, and probably a bigger thing to emphasize, is that this is all going to be based on my thoughts on what the Academy will go and select on who will get the nomination. Now, this is not going to be a definitive list of what will be nominated, because chances are I could actually be wrong. A good example is that last year I stated that The Boss Baby would not get a nomination at the Oscars because that movie just plain sucks. And then wouldn't you know it, ta-da! Guess who got a nomination? So yeah, that's kind of the big thing that I would like to go and point out, that take what I say with a grain of salt, and I could be wrong, because there could be some that I'll say it will definitely get a nomination and it won't, and then there will be some that I'll say that it won't get a nomination and it could, it will. So this is all just speculations, this is all just a prediction, so just take it with a little bit of a grain of salt. Don't expect this to be the definitive list. Okay, so with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get things started. And right over here, I'm just going to begin with the ones that we are going to remove. The ones I believe are not going to be nominated at this year's Oscars. And I'm just going to go and start things off by getting rid of the ones that I know they're not going to be nominated because they really aren't that good. So first one I want to get rid of is actually right here, Anna y Bruno. Because the thing is with Anna y Bruno, that's the movie that honestly I've never heard of before. I've never heard of this before seeing this list right over here. And then when I saw the trailer of it, my first thoughts was just, nope, ain't gonna happen. And I'll leave you guys to see for yourself that, yeah, I don't see that movie getting a nomination. It's just, yeah, it ain't Oscar material, I'm just saying. Alright, so the next one we're gonna remove, Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. The other two films didn't get nominated, so what the fridge makes you think that this one would get nominated, especially when this one is debatably the worst of the three. So, I'm just saying, hell no, you're never gonna see Hotel Transylvania get a nomination here. Alright, the next one we're gonna get rid of is gonna be Sergeant Stubby, An American Hero. The reason why I'm gonna go and get rid of this one is mainly because this is going to be a movie that I know that Academy voters are going to look at that one and ask, what the fridge is a Sergeant Stubby? Even the animation people are going to ask, what is Sergeant Stubby, An American Hero? So, even though it is great that recently they did reveal that Sergeant Stubby is going to be released on Blu-ray and DVD all across the websites and all across stores thanks to the help of Paramount Pictures, that is great, congratulations, Fun Academy. But I don't think they're going to be nominated at the Oscars, I'm just saying. So, next one that's not going to get nominated, Sherlock Gnomes. Hell no, that ain't going to get nominated. I mean, like, nobody asked for this to get a sequel. Like, nobody asked for a Romeo and Juliet sequel, so I don't think anybody is going to ask for that in particular to get an Oscar nomination. I'm just saying. And then also, we're going to get rid of Smallfoot as well. And the reason why I'm getting rid of Smallfoot is mainly because that movie, let's be honest, is just way too freaking bland to be nominated. The animation is bland, the story is bland, the characters are bland. It's just an all-around bland story. However, I just want to say right now that even though I don't think it's going to get nominated for Best Animated Feature, I would not be surprised to see if it would legitimately get a nomination at, if it would get nominated for Best Original Song. Now, it could be the case like DreamWorks Trolls, where it would actually end up like that, or even the Lego Movie, where the song Wonderful Life could actually get recognized at the Oscars and end up getting a nomination. That could be a very strong possibility, so I'm just giving a little bit of a heads up right over there, because I'll be honest, that song Wonderful Life is actually a pretty good song, and one of the best things that came out of the movie. That, and also I'll give Zendaya is actually one of the best performers in that movie. She's one of the best actresses, actually, that put in a lot of effort. So, yeah, maybe not for Best Animated Feature, but maybe for Best Original Song. So, I will give it that. And finally, another one that I'm getting rid of is going to be Teen Titans Go to the Movies. And the reason why I'm getting rid of Teen Titans Go to the Movies is because even though it is beloved by both critics and audiences, and a lot of people claim it to be the biggest surprise of the year, it's just that unfortunately, if the Simpsons movie didn't get a nomination, and neither did either of the SpongeBob movies, then I don't think they're ever going to go and nominate movies that are based on TV shows. So this is why I'm not seeing Teen Titans Go to the Movies getting a nomination. I'm just a little bit honest with you guys there. But I'm not done yet in terms of getting rid of some. Another group of animated films that I'm getting rid of is just some of the independent animated features and some of the animes, because unless you're either from Studio Ghibli, Cartoon Saloon, or G-Kids, then honestly, you're not going to get that much recognition at the Oscars. So from there, I'm also getting rid of Have a Nice Day, I'm getting rid of Laws of the Universe Part 1, I'm getting rid of Liz and the Bluebird. I'm also getting rid of Maquia, When the Promised Flower Blooms. I'm also going to go and get rid of Night is Short, Walk on Girl. And I'm getting rid of On Happiness Road. Oh, and one more. I'm getting rid of Tall Tales as well. So that's pretty much my entire list of the ones that I'm pretty sure are not gonna get a nomination. That I'm pretty confident you're not gonna see any of those movies actually get an Oscar nomination this year. But with that said and done, let's go ahead and move on to the ones that are going to be the opposite. The ones that I'm pretty confident that are going to get an Oscar nomination. So with this one, I actually have two of which that I can see actually get an Oscar nomination. First and foremost, you need your placeholder Disney and or Pixar film, which in this case is Incredibles 2. I mean, the thing with Incredibles 2, let's be honest, it is the biggest animated feature of the year. It got massive praise from critics like most Pixar films. That and also right now, it is one of the highest grossing animated features of all time. And it is slowly but surely creeping closer towards Frozen, where there could actually be a chance that it could even beat it. Maybe it won't, but we'll see. But I am guaranteed that with the achievements that it has done, it's definitely going to get a nomination. And, I mean, let's be honest, guys, there is also a very strong chance that the Oscar could even go to Incredibles 2. So, there is that right there. So, yeah, I'm definitely confident that Incredibles 2 is getting a nomination. Now, the next one that is going to be nominated for sure is going to be your placeholder stop motion film. And from there, I am saying Isle of Dogs is going to get a nomination. It's critically praised. It's from Wes Anderson. There are so many reasons why this should get nominated, honestly. So, yeah, this one, it is secured in getting the nomination, no problem. So, yeah, Isle of Dogs and Incredibles 2, they are definitely going to get nominated. Now, those are all the ones that I think that will get nominated for sure. Now, the rest that I have here are going to be in the maybe pile. These are the ones that could have a chance of getting nominated, but it wouldn't necessarily be surprising that they wouldn't at the same time. So, I'm going to start things off by going to the ones that I did not see yet in theaters. And keep in mind, as I'm recording this, it is the end of October. So at this point, I have yet to see Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. So let me put that in yellow. I have yet to see Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I have yet to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So it's only fair that I would put them as a maybe. And also, I just want to go and emphasize something about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, it's actually very interesting that with many people, a lot of people are pretty much rooting for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse to get a nomination, despite the fact that no one has even seen it. Like, just the trailers alone, people are already going, yep. Okay, they're saying yep, but maybe not with the burp. They're saying, yep, that's getting nominated for sure. I want to see that getting nominated. Like, they're definitely rooting for that one. But I just want to say, and I'm speaking realistically here, guys, please do not be surprised if Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse does not get nominated. Honestly, for me, my opinion, I feel like there could even be a chance that it'll not get nominated at all. I feel like there is a stronger possibility than it might actually could, especially with the fact that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are actually attached to the project. Now, keep in mind, this is not a knock against Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is especially not a knock against Phil Lord and Chris Miller. They're great filmmakers, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse could turn out to be great, and maybe I'm wrong, it could actually get an Oscar nomination. But I am just saying, if the Lego Movie and the Lego Batman movie did not get nominated at all, then what makes you think that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse might get nominated? At that point, are you really going to be that shocked if it doesn't? I mean, like, try to think realistically. So, I'm just saying, don't be surprised if it doesn't get nominated at all. Because if history does repeat itself, then yeah, it's not going to get then we're not going to see a nomination, and maybe we will see another controversy, but it wouldn't be too surprising if the Academy decides to go and ignore Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So, I'm just saying right over there. And that as well, I also just want to mention that, again, no one has even seen it yet. I even doubt if Sony is even finished with the movie. So nobody on this earth has ever seen the movie from beginning to end as I'm recording this. This movie could actually turn out to be a bit of a disappointment, so just a bit of a heads up before you call out anything and want to give Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse all the awards that you want. So just a little bit of a heads up right over there. So that's why it deserves a spot in the maybe list. It's not out, it's not released yet, and considering how we've seen history with the Lego movies, it could be a possibility we won't see this nominated, so I'm just saying. Okay, so, with that said, here's another one that I am going to put as a maybe, and that's going to be Early Man. Now, the reason why I put this one as a maybe is because, yes, technically, if we look back at previous Oscars, Aardman actually has a very good record when it comes to having their movies be nominated for Best Animated Feature. We've seen that with Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit. In fact, that one actually did win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. We actually did see that happen with Pirates Band of Misfits, and we have also seen that with, what was the other one? Yes, with Shaun the Sheep movie. So we've seen that all, and there could be a very good chance that Early Man could actually get nominated as well. In fact, when people would go and make their predictions for the list of Best Animated Feature, the most common one that I've seen is people go Early Man, Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and a miscellaneous. They would either put in an independent animated feature, or they would put in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. They would put in either one. But that's the most common that I've ever seen. And yeah, there could be a very good chance that it could actually get nominated. But the reason why that I put it as a maybe is mainly because a lot of people do agree that it is the weakest when it comes to the Aardman films. Like, honestly, it's not all that great. And just because it is from a certain studio, that doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed to get a nomination no matter what. Look at Pixar, for example. You don't see Cars 2, Cars 3, or Monsters University, or even Finding Dory get a nomination. So, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me if Early Man doesn't necessarily get that nomination at all. Now, from there is another one that I want to go and emphasize that could actually get a nomination considering past years, or past year actually, is Ruben Brandt Collector. And the reason why I put that one as a maybe is mainly because this is an animated feature that really does emphasize on the subject of art. And I put this in maybe is because we've seen this happen before, especially last year with Loving Vincent. So it wouldn't necessarily be that surprising if they would want to go and repeat that a little bit, where they would give Loving Vincent a nomination, and then they would give a nomination to a movie that is similar, that is all about art, with Ruben Brandt Collector. So it could actually have a chance right there. Now, in terms of the other ones that you see here, well, I'm putting in a maybe for Fireworks, I'm putting in a maybe for Lou Over the Wall, I'm putting in also a maybe for MFKZ, and also for Mirai. And those four films in particular is mainly because they are nominated by, not nominated, it's mainly because I'm putting it there because they are distributed by G-Kids. And G-Kids has extremely good luck, or every year we always see at least one G-Kids film get a nomination at the Oscars for Best Animated Feature. So if this tradition continues, so there could actually be a chance where we could actually see something like Fireworks or Mirai or Lou Over the Wall actually get a nomination. In fact, I see that in the chat wall, there have been some people who are definitely rooting for Mirai, considering that it is from the same guy that actually brought you Summer Wars and The Boy and the Beast. So this could actually be that director's big moment to actually get recognition at the Oscars. And of course, you do see one more that's not highlighted over here. But I'm also putting in a maybe as well for Tito and the Birds. And the reason why I put Tito and the Birds for maybe is because even though it's not necessarily distributed by G-Kids, this is an independent animated feature that did actually get a lot of talks during festivals. I would say Tito and the Birds and Lou Over the Wall, those are the ones that were the most prominent when it comes to film festivals and when it comes to animation festivals. Now, they didn't necessarily get that big of a recognition as much as something like Breadwinner last year, but they definitely were the ones that would gather up a lot of awards, that would gather up a lot of recognition, and would gather a lot of praise from judges and audiences alike. So that's why I'm also putting them as maybe. So, with all that said and done, that is pretty much my little list here of all the yeses, the nos, and the maybes on who could get nominated. And I'm sure some of you might be wondering, what do I think personally could actually be the definitive list? If I would have to go and select 5 animated features from here, in terms of who could actually get a nomination, well, honestly, my guess would be either, well, here's my prediction. I think it would be Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Lou Over the Wall, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Tito and the Birds. That's honestly my guess, mainly because we got our it's gonna be like back in 2016, it's gonna be a little bit based on the patterns that we have seen with the best animated feature category, where we got our Disney films with Ralph Breaks the Internet and Incredibles 2. We got the stop motion film with Isle of Dogs. And we are seeing more and more 2 independent animated features get nominated. That's starting to see a little bit more common. So that's why I'm putting in Lou Over the Wall and Tito and the Birds. If not, then I think the one independent film that has the most chance would probably be Lou Over the Wall. So that's pretty much my prediction. So my guess would be Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Lou Over the Wall, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Tito and the Birds. So that's pretty much my guess right over there. So with all that said and done, let me go and ask you guys, what do you think is going to get nominated? Do you guys have your list of who you think is going to get nominated? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I would like to know, what do you guys think is going to get nominated at the Oscars? And keep in mind, again, I just want to emphasize that this is just my prediction. This is just my theory. I could be wrong with what I'm saying here. So let's see what we got. My Oscar choices are Incredibles 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Isle of Dogs, Fireworks, and Liz and the Bluebirds. Okay, so we got that. Let's see. We got Incredibles 2. Someone else states Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Okay, that's interesting. Very interesting right there. Alright, so let's see. We got another one. Isle of Dogs, Incredibles 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Ruben Brandt Collector, and Lou Over the Wall. Ooh, interesting, Zebra. Very interesting right there. Let's see. Someone even is trying to go big on this. A Star is Born is the front runner for Best Picture. That could be a strong possibility. Wow, someone's going real big, into the Best Picture game. Holy crap! All right, let's see. Aren't you a bit harsh on Hotel Transylvania 3? No, I'm not. I am honestly perfectly fair with it. Deal with it. All right, let's see. We got another one. Mirai, Incredibles 2, Ralph, Isle of Dogs, and Mirai. Excuse me, you put in Mirai twice. The nominees are Mirai, 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 and finally Mirai. The winner is a Pixar movie. Mirai will get all the nominations, and yet Disney will be the one that will walk away with the Oscar. That's how the Academy works. Okay, let's see. Anyone else? Alright, let's see. Mine is Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Lou Over the Wall, and Walk On Girl. Okay, so I think we can all Oh, wait, hold on. We got another one. Matt, Incredibles 2 might not get nominated since they didn't nominate Finding Dory. I'm just saying. But I do hope it did get the nomination still, along with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, since I love the animation and I'm a Spider-Man fan. That's my take on the nomination, including Ralph Breaks the Internet and Isle of Dogs and Mirai. You do have a very good point. You know, there could be a chance that Incredibles 2 might actually not get a nomination. That is very true. Like, you think it would be there, you think it would be up for competition, but then suddenly it would just be out there. So that is a very good point. You do bring up a very good suggestion on that. So I think from there, we can all pretty much agree that it seems like on everyone's list, we are all expecting Ralph Breaks the Internet, Incredibles 2, and even Isle of Dogs. So those three, it seems like everybody agrees that those three are pretty much all going to be nominated, despite the fact that, again, nobody has even seen Ralph Breaks the Internet, yet we all know is going to get a nomination. How weird is that? So, but then again, it could be true that, you know, we would see a little bit of history repeating itself, and, like, you know, it would be like 2012 all over again, where we got one Pixar movie, and then we got Wreck-It Ralph being nominated again, and then, of course, getting snubbed by a Pixar film. So, I guess we'll just go and wait and see on that. So, with all that said and done, I think we are pretty much it with this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, with all that said, I just want to go and thank everybody who has written something in the chat wall, and I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. This was definitely quite an epic episode, and hopefully there will be more of this to come where we could talk about some major animation news stories. So, with all that said and done, I just would like to say thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!